Hello and welcome to the Famalam podcast. We're talking today about building healthy rhythms and routines for your family and for your kids, helping them develop good rhythms as they develop into adults themselves. Famalam is a podcast about family and parenting around the teachings and practices of Jesus. And we are recording this straight after New Year. So we've just had an episode from Joe Saxon talking about our hellos and goodbyes. And we thought, what a great way to follow that up by thinking about building healthy routines as a family. So we've got Daisy in person once again with Lizzy. Here we are. And Lucy.
Hey, friends.
Toby can't be with us today. He's too busy.
Yeah.
He's out in the States at some conferences, having a great time, and apparently wasn't willing to get up at 5 a.m. to join in the recording. So it's the four of us today. But we wanted to start really thinking about how routines, rhythms form us. That I think some of what Joe was saying in the last episode was so helpful about thinking in terms of who we are becoming, not just who we were, not just living with the regrets of the past, but growing into somebody that we want to become. And routines, rhythms can be so helpful for that. Routines, I would suggest, seem to matter quite a lot in forming who we are.
Absolutely. I think for me, when I am in my room, I think routines are most important when you're in the private rather than the public. And for me, being in the private in my house in London compared to when I was growing up in Manchester is that I continue to do the routines that I started when I was like 12 in the private. For example, I try not to go on my phone just before bed because when I was about 13, 14, I had the privilege of having a phone, but it always went downstairs because I wasn't allowed it in the bedroom. Now I've had to alter that because I use it as my alarm, but I still try not to go on it. Or like my Bible study as a Christian, that is the most important thing. And the thing I think that keeps my faith alive is having time with Jesus. The reason that I do that and do that so well and disciplined, and I understand the importance of doing it well and disciplined, is because I started it in the home at 12 years old. And probably before that, but I started being quite disciplined with it very early on. So I think routines are really important for when you're then a young adult and how you frame your life. Even exercise. Mum and Dad taught me the importance of going on runs or going to the gym. They actually started going to the gym before me. It was really embarrassing. And I thought, I can't let my parents be stronger than me. And I really didn't want to go to the gym, but I thought, gosh, I'm going to have to do it now. So I think the routines you set at like early teenagers in particular, but you will talk more about the early, like when you're a toddler, really set the tone for the rest of your life, much more significantly than you expect.
I think it's like as you grow up as well, I think you learn to almost like the routines more. Like now, Daisy was saying about Bible study, I leave a lot more time than I used to. Like when we were younger, it's more like a tick box thing of like, yeah, did my Bible study. And now it's like, oh, I actually really enjoy this. So I think now I leave a lot more time for that. And you also see the impact of the routines, like taking the phone away before you go to sleep earlier, like sleep way better. And I can really see that. And I can see the effects of that. And then I can see the effects of having longer like Bible study time and having that in my morning and making sure I'm prioritizing that. I can see the effect of it. I was trying to search up like how many days, I don't know if you know this, Dad, but how many days it takes you to do something consistently for it to become a habit or routine.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the answer?
No.
It's something, is it 8 weeks or something?
30 days.
I don't know. I tried to be slick with it and try and do it while Daisy was speaking, but it just didn't work.
Oh,
so.
He's trying to out-fact you, Gareth.
How long?
Gareth is the king of facts.
I
in
think
our
it's
family.
between.
Well, he's
30.
obviously not because he doesn't know it.
We'll find out in a
30
minute.
days.
But it's really interesting. It's something that I think with kids, you can't expect your kids to have the routine if you're not doing it yourself as parents. And I think that example, that's the key in this.
Well, going back to the habit forming, I was completely wrong. You were completely wrong. AI, who knows if it's right?
Is AI right, though?
Google's AI overview, guys.
Mate, that should be a whole nother podcast episode.
Making a habit takes around 2 to 8 months on average, with studies showing a wide range from 18 to 254 days. So it's not very helpful. But it does say that there's the 21 days myth, the idea that habits form in 21 days is like a simple idea in research. But I think it takes a lot longer.
Because I was just thinking, well, it's for us, we're like recording this after New Year, and it tends to be the season where a lot of people end up making new routines.
Yeah.
So like as a silly question, has anyone got a new routine they want to implement?
What now?
Yeah.
Oh, Lucy.
I've had to rethink my mornings because I've got a book coming out this year.
Honey,
Do
Yeah.
oh,
you?
guys, how
Um,
I
exciting.
love how we're
I knew that
finding
there
out
was
at the
one in the
same
works,
time.
but not this year.
Yeah. So I've got to rework my mornings so that I can build in some additional writing time. And so I've had to review what I do each morning and obviously it hasn't started yet because I'm not back to my regular work schedule yet, but rethinking, okay, if I'm going to do this writing, I've got to create a bit more time in my morning. So that's a new routine that I'm trying to add in. But in a way, it's going back to an old routine from when I was studying a couple of years ago. So it's using some of that to go, oh yeah, I can use that and just tweak it slightly rather than complete radical change. So that's me.
Yeah, I mean, because when you were studying, you didn't want to sort of impact the family or your work, so you just chose to wake up earlier.
Yeah.
Which was very early. It's like 5:30.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Which actually, in fact, then meant that you didn't ruin the routine of us getting up at 7 a.m. to eat together before school.
Yeah.
The routine that we had for high school, which was quite good.
Exactly.
And actually, Joe Saxton, it's really interesting, in the last podcast, talks about the importance of sacrifice, consistency, if you're wanting to put these things in place. And it's so true. It doesn't come without the work.
Yeah. Anyone else got a new routine?
Going to bed earlier.
Oh, all right.
Well, that's
I've
good.
utterly failed because the last 2 nights I went to bed at midnight. So I'm not doing very well. And this is literally the easiest place to go to bed early because mum and dad go to bed quite early, but I've just been failing.
Quite early being 10:30 at night.
That's quite early, I
You
think.
think?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I want to go to the gym more. I don't know if it's going to happen. I want to run more and I want to be off my phone more.
Oh, that's a good one.
The big question now is
Yes.
what are you going to actually do to make that happen?
Ooh.
It's nice to have that. Ties into a bit of what Joe was saying. It's great to have the aspiration. These are things I want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a conversation for another time. But I guess that's the point. Is what's the plan and how do you put it into practice?
What is the plan, Gareth? I haven't really thought any further than I'm going to be really honest.
That's what New Year, January.
Oh, no, I know what I've done.
Oh, okay.
I've written it down.
Great.
That's step one.
Perfect.
You know what? Linking to early years. Oh, wait, Luce, what was yours? I was going to say mum should get a star chart. And it's similar.
That'd be so good.
Yeah.
We were going
I
to
remember the star chart.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, maybe, yes, I need a little prize.
Okay.
That's
I
my
need to own prize.
Are you guys going to give me rewards?
No, I'll make a star
definitely
chart.
not.
Lucy, do you have a new routine you're trying to put in or a rhythm?
I was actually talking to JP last night. I was like, oh, I want to eat better. Like, I think I'm not very consistent eating habits, which is not great. So I'm going to try no, it's not even not health. Yeah, I can't. My diet is basically rice and beans. So I probably should start eating some more vegetables.
That's pretty healthy.
Yeah, but it's not very consistent. So I'm going to start meal prepping. I want to see, if you're a dietitian, if you're a nutritionist, come speak to me. I want to know how I can max out my life with that, because I think that would be so sick. So yeah.
Very good.
That's the vibes.
So we're going to kick off a little bit conversation about early years when Daisy, Lucy, you won't remember this, but we felt like it was important for us to establish healthy rhythms and routines for you. I mean, arguably, perhaps it was more for the parents than the kids. I don't know. Lizzy, you were at home looking after the kids.
Well, I think any routine, I mean, Christmas is ending and I love holidays, summer, Christmas. I love all that kind of rest time. It's really important for Sabbath, isn't it? For us to recharge, rest and enjoy the fruits of our work. But I think I very much look forward to getting back into the routine of life. I mean, I love being in PJs and just slobbing around the house. It's wonderful, but I don't know how productive that is for, all the days of the year.
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Or
it's the opposite.
if, you can earn any money by doing that. I don't know. Can you earn money by doing that? But I think what I do remember is when the kids were tiny, really, really wanting that routine back after holidays because, I loved you guys dearly, but I was ready sometimes for you to go back to school and just have a bit more order. And I think
Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again.
Yes. But yeah, it's really, really important. I think it's different for every family. I was able to be at home with the kids. We just felt that was something that we wanted to do. We chose to, back in the day in Sheffield, to buy a house that was maybe smaller that we could live off just one wage.
And when we moved to the States as well.
Yeah.
Just afford
just because I wanted to be at home with the kids when they were younger. Well, one of us wanted to be at home. And so I was able to probably be a bit more involved in that, maybe.
I mean, all the idea of building their routine was on you, right? So there wasn't
Well,
any
we talked
other
about
structure.
it.
Yeah, but there wasn't another structure of dropping them off at the
Yeah.
nursery. But you did use things like play groups, and you tried to build a daily routine and a weekly routine to give not only the kids a bit of structure, but you some
and
sanity.
for myself, to meet some other human beings, get out of the house and talk to some person. But and again, also it depends on your children. Daisy was textbook baby.
Oh.
She really was.
Yeah.
We always felt a bit embarrassed because Daisy would just do it by the textbook. And so, people say, gosh, you must be really tired. And well, she was in bed by 7 o'clock.
She slept from 7 till 7 from about 2 months old.
She was just clockwork.
What a woman.
Yeah, but yeah, that was
Golden child.
So let's keep going.
I told you she was the favourite.
The story develops.
You're all
I
my
was the favourite
favourites.
for the
You're
first
all
2
our
months.
favourites. But anyway, stays with textbook. Lucy was, it was hit and miss, but Lucy was really ill when she was younger, and she had a time in hospital. She nearly died, and so routine just goes out and out the
Jesus
window.
saves.
Yeah, and so you do this wonderful routine, and then it all sort of gets ruined, and then you have to go back to it, and then you have illnesses, teething, all of that. Then we had Toby,
who's not here to defend himself.
who isn't here, and it's going to be great fun. Tornado Toby, who we love dearly. But I had in my head, because I'd had textbook baby number 1, number 2 did okay, thought it was because of my amazing parenting, because of Gareth, and we were the best parents ever. Toby came along, did everything.
He brought
like I
humility to the house.
He did. I mean, I was very vocal about dummies. I didn't like dummies, and I said I would never use them. Never use them on Daisy or Lucy. Toby.
Really?
2 days. 2 days old? Let's say I bought about 6 different dummies.
Honestly.
He cried.
He never
and
stopped.
cried. My dad was back then a consultant paediatrician, said, I just don't think he likes being a baby. He had, what did he have? He had reflux.
Yeah.
And
we think
that was the problem. We tried everything, but he just cried and cried. But we still tried to keep a routine with him. Yeah, I mean, I had to phone everyone up who had been really vocal about dummies and say, I'm really sorry. It had nothing to do with my amazing parenting skill.
It was the child.
Yes.
But we did try and build in those routines, like you say with Toby, like there would always be, certainly towards early evening, particularly, I guess I remember this because I was getting home, there would be sort of calmed out or tidy up time. There'd be times like I'd get home.
Tidy up time. I had a song. I used to a little song.
Put it away.
Yes. And, before tea, it was tidy up time. And the house would be a bomb site. We'd get every toy out with mud pies outside, but it was time to clear up. And everyone did it together, team, however old you were. Sometimes it was done really well. Sometimes it was done really badly. Sometimes there were tantrums. But we still put that in.
Yeah.
Then, because 4 o'clock was always, Gareth would be at work. I don't know, but I used to always find 4 o'clock was just meltdown time. And when you have 3 children under the age of 6, just hardcore. When Gareth came in through the doors, just to throw you all 3 at him. But
let's go play.
Yeah. But we had that, and then we had, and what I tried to do was have a wind down time. So it wasn't time to hype the kids up. It was time to sort of slow down. This was when we were younger. Obviously, there were clubs later on and a few clubs, and it gets really complicated when you've got different ones at different ages. We tried to do tea time together, or at least sit down with the kids and then do highs and lows, then bath time. We had a song for bath time.
Is it time for Daisy to have a bath?
Toby to have a bath.
Have a bath. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like so make them nice and clean.
And
Great
then,
song, Dad.
and it was a beautiful song.
Should have released it.
And then we
Used to
did,
join in.
yeah,
but
we did.
people are listening.
I know,
I don't want to
people are
break that
listening.
news.
Yeah. Yeah, we did try and put routine in as much as possible. But as a parent, you said just as much for you. But, you know, when you've got tiny children, just having like a window, like Bible study, time with Jesus, it's really hard. You know, when you've got baby, you're a milking cat, that whole demand feeding is really, really important. And waking up every 3 hours and bottle feeding or whatever it is, that whole thing of being bamboo and having that grace, you know, I used to, gosh, I haven't had any time. I'm the worst Christian ever. And actually would get that little window when you all three maybe were sleeping in the car, when I was taking you somewhere, or mopping the floor, or having that little window when I was breastfeeding. Actually, I love breastfeeding because that was my time with Jesus at night. And I suppose those choices of making those little window times, you know, when you're a bit early at the school gates and you can have a bit of time, little breather before you all come in running out, and you're giving you little snacks and you've got to start again, and juggling with work later on. Yeah,
I think when they're little,
it's bonkers season.
Yeah, it's madness.
It's exhausting.
But it's not trying to get the kids to it's not trying to get the kids just to be compliant for the sake of it. It's trying to help them realize that to have a tidy house, you need to tidy it, and that's not just a thing to do so that they get a star chart or whatever, but actually that's forming good character. It's learning responsibility, and I suppose that develops, doesn't it, as the kids get older, starting school. So you probably start to remember this, you two, when you're at school, and the rhythms and routines that we tried to build in then. Do you remember things about like homework and chores? Do you have any recollections of any routines or rhythms that we had there as a family that were helpful for you?
I don't know if this is correct. I do remember, like, you got home, you'd have your club or whatever, and if you had homework, you had to get that done. Like, that was a priority, and you guys set that out. And I think as well, something that you continued as we got older is that actually there was a time for working and time for not. And it was the same with revision, and the sense of, okay, you need to prioritize it rightly, because after dinner, we don't work. After dinner, it's like the wind down time, and you're not going to go back to revision. You're not going to do your homework then, because actually, like, then you're getting ready to go to bed. So I think you guys always made sure that was a priority before dinner, which obviously didn't always work, like with routines and stuff. I think sometimes it would change. I know that we all had different clubs going on, but I think I remember you guys being quite good at that, and like setting the like idea of being like, we don't work before bed.
But also, mum always says bamboo, and sorry, that's not how you sound.
It's very impressive.
Bamboo. But being bamboo was for mum and dad. When we did swimming lessons, I distinctly remember we'd all three be at different times, and poor mum and dad had to like stay in this sweaty swimming pool for like 2
Mainly
hours.
me, can I just say, because Dad was at work.
Mum used to take us. Sometimes Dad would take us.
No, Dad. I remember Dad would take us quite a lot.
That was more fun than
Listen
me.
to Lucy. I used to go swimming as well. I used to
come swimming quite a lot because I always loved it. No offense, Mum. I always loved it when Dad took us swimming, because he'd like do the little. I don't want to get in trouble with the police or anything, but we used to shake the car, and we used to find it really funny on the way home on the roads. And then we'd get home and we'd have our chocolate digestive cookie and some milk. And it was the best treat after swimming.
Yeah.
So good.
You always got digestive and chocolate biscuit, but swimming with all three of you was really, and I hated that.
You listened to them read, didn't you?
I was going to say this.
Go on,
sorry, go for it.
The bamboo routine is that Mum would, one of us, you'd have like a
balcony.
Balcony, there you go.
I remember this now.
There's a balcony, and when Lucy and Toby were swimming, I'd have to do my reading, and I'd have to read to Mum what the book of the week was or something, and do my homework. And then we'd be swapped out, and then Lucy would have to come and do her reading. But I do feel sorry for you, because I could not do that changing room 3 times.
And on a treat time, I would come in occasionally. Hate swim baths. I don't know if anyone's watched Motherland, the swimming scene. It's just so,
it's grim.
It's amazing, because it's just so, like the changing room smell of urine. You guys got shampoo in your eyes. I'd have all these great ideas that you'd all be calm, and my kids would be worse than anyone else's. You'd all be screaming in the shower because you had shampoo in, and then your pajamas that I'd washed and cleaned were all like damp and wet and gross from the floor, and I'd get them to change because I hated the floor of the swim bar. It was so dangerous, but there was this little changing room. All of us would be in there, and I'd make you stand on the seat.
I remember that.
As you changed, because like usually you'd have your tights, girls and tights. Awful thing to have in a swimming pool. But yeah, it was just hard work.
The best thing was when
slapped,
Granny and
Mum.
Grandpa
Was great.
came to stay
Granny and
because they would bring the chocolate biscuits in the car.
Oh,
They would literally turn up to clubs with like biscuits in ready. It was
from a
awesome.
cake. You know, I failed.
It was amazing.
Wow.
Granny and Grandpa, and then fun dad, shaking in the car on the way home. But
Yeah, I don't think I did that every week.
No.
I just think I did it.
I just
all the
remember
time.
enjoying it
Oh
on like
my
the
goodness.
little.
But that is a good point about how routines had to be flexible, and the bamboo thing is important because I think you did swimming on Mondays, didn't you? So Mondays look really different to every other evening, and particularly in primary school, I guess, when you were starting the clubs that you were talking about, Lucy, and then as you were getting older, they started going a little bit later, and so you had to work out, well, when is food going to work on this particular night of the week, and try and build our routines that changed on a daily basis, I guess.
yeah, you did have different times for bedtimes. We did do that.
Yeah.
But because that was a privilege of being older. And I mean, Daisy was hilarious because she would pretend her light was out, and then
both
at
did.
10 o'clock I'd go to bed, and she'd be reading Harry Potter underneath her duvet. Or
Brilliant.
she would be reading her Bible, which she said then was the trump card, because she's like, you can't tell me off. Daisy was such a reader. It was very, very sweet.
Smart.
But food, and I know that's a big one. Didn't do puddings. I think we had sweets on a week. I can't remember.
Weekend. We only had pudding on a weekend, and if it was in the week, we'd have fruit after dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or yogurt.
But
Or yogurt.
You know, yogurt would have. But can you remember dancing on the table? I was.
Yeah. You wouldn't let us leave until we finished our dinner, and I remember I was quite a fussy eater when I was younger. Thankfully now I can eat anything, but that's
But
because
what would I do? What would be
made me
your
sit.
reward?
You'd dance on the table if I ate.
If you finished your food, I danced on the table, everybody. And I was known in the playground. So, you know, people would say, my child came for tea, and they said, you danced on the table.
And yes, she did.
I
everybody.
danced on the
She
table.
definitely did.
It was
That
a
poor
good
table.
way to eat.
So what about later on then, preteens and teens? Because things get even busier, right? You've got friends, actually, you've got screens now, you've got a screen. And how did rhythms and routines change as you started to take responsibility as well?
Okay, I have a bone to pick.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. This is the worst part.
Bone to pick.
Podcast.
Because, no, it's not that deep. It's not that
Okay.
deep, but it felt deep at the
Just
time.
prepping. Be kind.
I'm going to be kind. I'm going to pick the bone.
Whew, okay.
When I was in my first high school,
Therapy session.
I was given homework diaries, okay? And, you know, in primary school, we got quite a bit of homework. But in high school, Mum decided that I wasn't getting enough homework.
Yeah.
And Mum decided that my routine homework was not good enough. Even though I had a homework diary and I'd show her, I'm getting enough homework, Mum. Mum decided to write to my teacher to tell
That's
them
so
to give me more
crazy.
homework. It was mortifying. Mortifying.
They weren't stretching you. You were doing it too quickly. You were doing it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, because I am so good.
You were so
smart.
clever.
Anyway, Mum decided, and yeah, it was absolutely horrific because, you know,
Top tip to children: take your time on your homework.
Did they give you homework?
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did either.
They didn't. I'm sure they did. Lizzy was quite good at getting teachers on her side and making
To be
them feel
fair,
sorry for her.
There was this whole thing that if you like didn't have any marks in your homework diary for the term, you got a treat. So like you'd get an ice cream or a chocolate bar. And I remember like 2 weeks before the ice cream truck was coming, I forgot a pen. And I said to my teacher, I literally went up to her and I was like, I have been so good to you. And I literally was like, you don't want to mark me down for this because I really want ice cream. You want me to get that ice cream.
That's
And
so
I
good.
never got marks. I never got a detention. But I think it's just because some might call you a teacher's pet, some might call you clever.
This reminds me of a confession I have.
Textbook teenager.
Lucy has
Liz.
a
I don't
confession.
know actually. Yeah. What?
Okay,
You've
so-
got a confession.
Yeah. Do you remember in Daisy's second high school, my first high school, when you did homework, every week you had to get your parent to sign your planner, and I basically just never did. So I just always forged a signature like every week.
I
'Cause
never
I-
knew that.
Yeah.
You did.
I
Everyone did
Surely
that.
you
Even
did.
I did
Everybody
that.
did
Didn't
that.
know that you forged.
I didn't know that you forged, but we were really bad parents.
I remember
We were
sitting
terrible
down at the
signing
end of
things.
like a term and signing one after another for like
yeah.
week
I
after week
remember
to make it
one.
look like we had.
You
But
know
I
what,
was like-
Lucy? I'm similar, but I felt so bad forging my own parents' signature, and I felt like a sinner that I got my friends to do it instead.
That's great.
That's so Daisy.
No,
It's
there
like
was
got someone else to forge your signature.
I remember doing that at school because then if
Yeah.
a teacher said, "Did you forge the
You
signature?"
say
I could say
no.
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 I
Do you know
remember.
what? Do you know what's worse is that I was known that I was the artist and that I was really good at art. So everyone would make me do everybody else's because I was so good at copying signatures.
So you were the
I
forger.
basically did the whole classes
That's
every single week.
awful.
That's badly. I'm disappointed, Lucy.
No, it's okay. I'm sure that they're all thriving now because of it.
Actually, I wasn't very good. You know, I was the mum that would forget things. I mean, I think it was at Toby when WhatsApp came a lot, but I'm so glad that I didn't have those kind of groups because those would have just overwhelmed me. But they're quite useful in if you forgot things. But when you were at primary school, I remember getting phone calls from your teachers. I mean, they were really generous, but it would say, just to remind you, Mrs. Robinson, it's, you know, Forest Day or it's swimming today, because I would constantly be forgetting your swimming costumes, or you turn up in your uniform and everyone else was ready and in their book day costume. I mean, I think I did that once and I never ever did it again. And I would be really, really planned
On it.
but I think one year I really failed. And I think some friend, very lovely friend, got together some costume for me. And
No, I don't remember.
But we'd tried
That's good.
to build in things like people doing chores, joining in and helping, taking responsibility. And even like Lizzy used to say, when you wake up, you got to make your bed and draw the curtains. That
Yeah.
was just built in expectation.
And
put
you
your
can do
pajamas
that.
away, and everyone can do that and make
do that from a toddler.
Mm.
So it was like, you draw your curtains, you make your bed. I'll make it with you. I'll draw the curtains with you. And I used to say, if you go and stay at someone's house, that's what you need to do too. You know, please and thank yous. And when you stay at someone's house, make sure that you help with clearing up. I think the importance of making sure that we're doing that too and putting those things in.
Oh, 100%. When you said about exercise, Daisy, I was remembering my parents didn't really exercise at all. So I didn't have a model of what building in exercise to a weekly routine looked like. I distinctly remember going for a run for the very first time with Lizzy, who was like, "Oh, isn't this fun? We're having a wonderful run." And I'm like, "Oh, this is exhausting," because I wasn't enjoying it at all. However, now I'll like run 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week. It's kind of just built into my routine, but that's taken years to develop that sense of pattern. So it's interesting, actually. Again, Daisy, the AI said between 2 and 8 months to build something in. I think you do need something of a plan. You need to know what it is that you want to become. Going back to what Joe was talking about last week, like, who are we becoming? That's a discipleship question. And then what are we choosing to do so that we become that kind of a person? That's a decision about routines. And so it's not just a hope. That there's that amazing quote that says the pathway to hell is paved with good intention. It's great to have good intention, but actually, if you want to live a holy life, then it's about that sense of discipline that we've talked about a few times. Now
That's
it's a
good.
sense of getting a plan and then sticking with it. Go on, Lise.
No, I was just saying that's really good. I think it's so good.
Yeah.
But that accountability, your parents, watching your parents. So I watched my parents exercise.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a given. It was normal. And that's why it's something that was just a given in my routine. And I think that's really, really key.
So what about you guys? Do you remember when we were trying to build routines and asking you to have input into that as teenagers?
I think what I always do remember, especially when we were teenagers, was we were allowed to hang out with friends after school and stuff, but we'd have to let mum and dad know what we're doing. If it was after school club, like there was like this thing of you had to be home by like dinner time. And when I was younger, I hated that rule because all my friends would be out till 8 p.m. and I was like, I'm missing so much. But actually, that kept me from a lot, but also meant that I had a routine and kept a routine, but also we as a family were a lot more connected because dinner time was so important. And that did change. Like Toby had running on different days, which was normally later in the night. So we'd sometimes have dinner separately, and we'd be okay to change that routine. But I think actually mealtime was such a pivotal part. We'd always eat together in the morning and we'd always eat together in the evening. And like that was just a known culture in the family. It was just an expectation that everybody followed. And it was like a massive deal if you missed dinner time. If you miss dinner time, then you're in a lot of trouble, kind of. And if not communicated anything,
unless it's pre-planned, unless you were doing a sleepover.
Yeah. No, I mean, if like it's not communicated, then it's like big deal. But yeah, I think that definitely was something you guys set from quite early on and maintained through. Obviously, as we started getting older into college and stuff, those started changing too. When we started going out, I do remember like routines would change in that sense. And mum was very, you're coming home. I don't know what time, but midnight, mum would make me go home, which is, I was like, Mum, you don't understand. The clubs don't even open till like quarter to midnight.
One of the most important things, if I ever become a parent, for me, I think it's like, how do you make sure that your children have their own relationship with Jesus and that it's not just your own relationship? I think the routines that you set early on, like I said at the start of the podcast, are really important. So for me and Luce and Tobes, Dad, well, the way that Mum would often read her Bible and Dad would bring her a cup of tea in the morning. And so Dad was like, oh, this is a great way to make help my kids read the Bible, bring them a cup of tea. I hated tea. It would go cold every single day. Poor Dad would do it. I think he did it for at least 3 months, bringing me a cup of tea.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even a year.
Yeah,
well, the reason why he did that was because my dad did that when I was younger.
Yeah, so Mum thought if I could make Daisy love tea and love Jesus, that'd be great.
But you guys never liked tea.
Such a good mix. I like tea now.
Tea
without milk.
Anyway, the great thing about that was that there was like the kind of support network to have your Bible study time, and Mum and Dad showed us how important that was by you guys showing us, because so many of my friends now, whether they became a Christian later on in life or they didn't see their parents have their own Bible quiet time, meant that they don't see it as important for themselves, and so they're having to create those rhythms now. But because Mum's door was always open in the morning, so we'd see that, or Dad would bring us that cup of tea and kind of encourage us softly to read our own Bible, has helped me. And actually, some friends of mine, when I was at uni, one friend of mine became a Christian much later, and she'd see me read my Bible every morning. So she was like, oh, this seems like a really good thing. And she started doing that, and that became a big thing of her routine. But because we got that from such early age, it was how it helped us.
Yeah, so my dad used to buy them the little Bible notes. So we used to have little Bible notes for them, didn't we?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you did.
And I think just you seeing Dad, Gareth is so much better in the mornings than me. Gareth graciously has brought me a cup of tea every morning, folks. Every morning.
Some Saturdays you make one.
Some Saturdays, but I have a cup of tea with Jesus. And then when you guys were little, that used to be when I was breastfeeding, or would be a quick pause for thought because someone was tagging the duvet and wanting something, or someone was screaming upstairs, or someone couldn't find their tights, or whatever it was. Or even as teenagers, you've got, and Dad the same, but I still am terrible at getting up in the morning.
So I think a lot of what we're saying is reminding me of other conversations, like we've talked about screens in a couple of episodes, and building good routines. Daisy, you mentioned that we had a dock downstairs so that everybody charged their phone downstairs. And if you need an alarm, then we'll buy you an alarm clock rather than using your phone to do that. So we all charged our phones downstairs, and that created bedrooms as a place that was not quite screen free, because you might have had them upstairs early evening, but sort of before bed, then they weren't. And we've talked quite a lot about that in our episodes about screens. And then also, well, what about when things don't go right? We're trying to negotiate around boundaries. We had a couple of really helpful episodes on boundaries and discipline that relate to all of this as well. But I think ultimately, Lucy, you were saying about the meal times. Around the meal times, we tried to create a place where as a family we could connect with each other and with God by doing our pleases and thank yous at breakfast and our highs and lows at dinner time. So there was a time at the beginning of the day and the end of each day that each person within the family had a moment where they were listened to, they were heard, what they were going through was given some space, even when they were really little. Like we've got videos of doing highs and lows when Toby was maybe not a baby but a toddler, because Daisy and Lucy, you could talk, and so we were doing highs and lows from a really, really early age. But even when Toby was really small, and invite him to say, what was your favourite bit of the day? You know, even as he's starting to form language, he can still think about something that he really enjoyed. It gives the opportunity for review and reflection and all that kind of stuff. And I think those rhythms have helped form our family life. And I guess that's why we were keen to have a conversation here to talk about how important rhythms and routines
And we
are.
still do highs and lows. Gareth and me, I don't know if you know this, kids, but we do our highs and lows, just us two, while you're at university. We do that.
And you'll learn
actually,
every time as
we do
well.
it, and it's really good. And we do it, you know, in small groups, and it's a really
And if you
good
follow our
way.
Instagram, you see it on our Instagram.
And it's really, really good way of, giving it, like you said, giving an opportunity to talk. And I think these routines, these habits, this discipline, it's all about us being in relationship and also making it really, really fun. Because I think that's really, really key. And just thinking about you guys learning how to look after your own spaces now, hopefully you learnt a lot of that from the home, the family home. You know, when you had your bedrooms, my own mum was brilliant at this, in that our bedroom was our space and we could be as creative as possible. Back in the day, we had magazines, had all the posters up, and then I love moving furniture. I love making home. And my mum would come in and say, "Oh, Lizzy, you've changed your room around, and oh, it looks really gorgeous." I remember her saying that as a teenager and thinking, "Oh, I'm really good at that." And then, you know, it gave me confidence for when I had my own home and I wanted to make it a great space for people. I love the home and making it a space that other people can enjoy. And I'm sure that was helped and encouraged by my mum cheerleading me in that gift. And I think if we can see the gifts in our children and see the gold in the routine bits of life where your kids shine and cheer them on, that can be such a great thing for later on in life, for helping them create their own routines.
No, totally. I think for us, living with friends is great, but sometimes they have very different ideas of what cleanliness is or tidiness is. And I actually think the way that you helped us grow up, like we'd all do our chores or our bits of cleaning, but that made me realise that it's actually really nice to be in a clean home and in a tidy home. So then I've taken that to my own life now.
So we all used to clean together. We'd do an hour, and we did have moans, and it was hard sometimes, but you did an hour on a Saturday or a Friday or whatever day it was. And that was 5 hours of cleaning, and it would be appropriate for their age or whatever. And we did more of that later on as they're teenagers. But it was a team thing. It was a joint thing, but also trying to make it fun, rewards, enjoying it, but also learning and teaching as you go along. It's like, you know, I love baking with all of you and you learning how to bake, but also that clearing up was part of that. You know, you baked, but you helped clear up from a younger age. And Lucy, you specifically loved baking. And it was, you can have free range of the kitchen, Lucy, but as long as you put it back to how it was. The reward was licking the bowl. Licking the bowl was the cool bit about cooking.
Especially if it's cookie dough.
You adored that, and you'd get it all over your face, and I'd just not be frightened of the mess. But also, actually, it was time to get it cleaned up because we've got to use it for the next thing.
Yeah, so actually, talking about mum's chores, we're all in this together, Lucy. Today's clean-up day for Christmas. I was out yesterday, the whole day, and I came back home and mum said to me, "Oh, Daisy, we were going to clean up, but dad said, Daisy's here tomorrow. Why would we do it on our own?"
You told her that? That was meant to be between us.
Yeah. So now, Lucy, my Saturday afternoon is spent cleaning up the Christmas decorations. But I do know, and I said to mum and dad, I can't complain because I've enjoyed the Christmas decorations. However, Lucy,
well done,
interesting time to be back in London. And I will be telling Toby.
In Dallas too. I mean, how to get out of it. But can I just say, last year, it was just me and dad. So at least
I was going to say, I was literally thinking today, I was like, oh, I'm going back home soon. I was like, I hope the Christmas decorations are down before I get back.
That is unbelievable.
That is naughty.
Well, we better get on with it.
We do need to get on with it. So we hope that conversation has been helpful for you in terms of thinking about family rhythms, family routines, how they change through the years, but also how routines and rhythms help to form the character of Christ in us as well. And as parents, how we can help to invest that into our kids, initially through forming them as the principles by which we live as a family, but then as our kids get older, helping them to get involved and invested in what those rhythms and routines look like for themselves, so that, as Daisy and Lucy have been telling us, by the time they then leave home, they've got some really healthy routines. That whole point of modelling that, Lizzy, you mentioned is just so important. We really wanted to encourage that. So we hope that's been really helpful for you. We'll be back next week. Toby will return in 2 weeks' time. And so we look forward to it then. God bless you.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye.